maybe there's another way I can do that. The idea of trying to turn it with a screwdriver and watch it all at the same time wasn't really working out that well. Yeah, get that. Let's move on to the next thing. Next thing I want to do is I've got an absolutely loose rocker arm over here, and I want to tighten that down. I think that one was either a 5/8 or an 11/16. Let me do that. Next thing I'm going to do is just squirt a bunch of, I've got some oil here I make out of old motor oil and acetone. It's kind of like a homemade penetrating oil for me, but I'm just going to squirt a bunch in these cylinders and we'll spin the motor around because I want the cylinder walls to be slippery because sometimes when you're checking compression you need to have some lubrication on the cylinder walls in order to get an accurate read. I'm just going to spin this over a goodly bit and let that oil kind of rub up against the walls there. It's good. And then I'm going to get my tool out, my compression tool. We're going to stick it in one of those cylinder holes. This started off pretty low, about 20 pounds. And then it jumped up to 50, and now it's up to about 55. So as it's turning over, those rings are starting to kind of make connection again. So that's about 60 pounds right there. Let's try another one. I'm just going to spin this off of here, out of there. Move it over to the next cylinder. I was trying to think of the firing order. I mean, I think these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from side to side, but I'm just going to go up and down the side. Oh, it just makes it so much easier to be comfortable that way. And I'll bring y'all over if you want to. You can watch the gauge while I do this. I was going to make me a little switch, you know, a little push button kind of a switch thing, but I don't know. It seems like it's working just fine with that one. I'm just using a screwdriver. So I'll let you kind of see the gauge as we go here. And see, that one went right up to 100 pounds right off. So that's a good sign. Let's pop another one out. This is a nice gauge. Honey Babe bought me this for Christmas. Oh, years ago, and I never used it. I was going to run a pressure gauge on that Cadillac motor in the rat rod, and then it was running, and I just never kind of got around to it. Probably would have told me which cylinder was bad. I knew it had probably some pretty tired rings in it and all, but I never did check it. I'll let y'all watch the gauge on this one here. See, that one's up to like 130. And it may be after I spin this a little bit and I come back to that first one up there, it may have improved too. I don't know if y'all watched the video where 63 Impala had an old, he had an old Hemi head Chrysler Mopar motor, and first few times he spun it didn't have much oil pressure, but he figured he had enough to get it running, and that's kind of the way this could be. Sometimes if you got enough to get it running, you run it a little bit, and some of those cylinders that aren't showing much, you know, the rings if I had a piston sitting around with some rings in it, I could demonstrate. But the rings will kind of come out. They'll be stuck inside the piston, and you run a little bit and they kind of come out. Hard to get this in there without it kind of cross-threading, but it's probably good for the plug threads to run something in there anyway. Just a little lubrication to it. Just shoot a little lubrication on those threads as I go. Oh, they got plenty on there. They've thrown out enough oil. I've gotten some on them. Maybe I'll run a spark plug in and out of there and just loosen the threads up. Alright, let's give that a try. I'll let y'all watch the gauge again. That's pretty poor, ain't it? You can put me a piece of wire on there. I'm kind of. Sometimes you can wind up welding your little piece of stuff right there pretty easily. Stick a little piece of wire on there and use that for a jumper wire. So that compression came up a little more on that cylinder. It came up to about 50, which ain't great, but like I said before, sometimes you run them a little bit and they'll get better. Kind of enjoying the idea of pulling this motor apart in a way, even though I'm doing a compression check. I was watching some of Mr. Heavy Chevy's engine teardown videos the other day and thinking I want to do that. Now over here I got some oil popping up out of this little oil hickey, which tells me it's got some oil pressure. Doesn't tell me how much. It doesn't tell me how much, but it does tell me that it's pumping oil, so that's a good thing. That'll make it a little better. Might be fun to throw an oil pressure gauge on this. I think I've got one sitting around here somewhere handy by. Let me take a minute or two and see if I can uncover where it's at, and if I can, I'll just flip that on there. Gauges, but I didn't find a little piece of line that I could put in that connection, so I'm just going to tighten this down so quite so much oil. I see oil all down in here, which is good. That went up a little higher. That's up to about 55 now. I believe that I could probably get this running. Yeah, I believe I can get this running. So far on that side, the ones with low compression are the very front one and the very rear one. Let's go over here. I'll have to do the same thing. Let's see what we got. I'll bring that light over here that I had behind me. Got 150 pounds on that front one. Got 145 pounds on that one. A lot of times you can do a redneck rebuild where if you got a couple of cylinders like this with low oil pressure, you just pop the piston out of those cylinders. And instead of doing a whole motor, you know, I remember back day, a good friend of mine had a Pontiac, one of them 3.2 barrel 389s, and he did something, busted a piston ring or a piston or something in our driveway, and we tore it down in our driveway and popped that one piston out and replaced it, put it back in there, and he drove it away. And we used to do that all the time, that kind of thing. And there's got 120. Used to be pretty common to rebuild engines in the dirt driveway, like, you know, sandy driveway like we had. People talk about shade tree mechanics. I mean, if you need to pull a motor out, you get underneath a tree, get a cable under a low hanging limb that's strong enough to lift the motor out. You pull the motor out under that tree. I've done a lot of engine pulls under a tree and stuff like that. I shouldn't say a lot, done some. Done a little. Oh, we got nothing. That one's like, of course, this is also the one where I was playing with the adjustment on this, and I might have got that hair too tight, because I can hear a little whoosh whoosh sound. I might have that valve where it's not closing all the way. Let's adjust that. So I'm gonna go. See, this one, the rocker arm was completely off of it. So I'm just going to turn that a half turn. Maybe I got a little over half turn there. It might have been a 5/8. I might have put 11/16 on there. Should have been 5/8. They ain't really want to come off much. You know, that could also be a compression leak on that head. When I put my finger over it, I can hear that noise. It's like a little whooshing wind noise. When I put my finger over the plug hole, I hear it. And not when I take my finger off. So there's something going on right here. And it could just be a plain old fashioned head gasket leak or something like that.